Hello, and good morning. Welcome to today's episode. I'm Episcopo Squirrel, also known as Alchemage, and this morning I'm going to talk about the human brain. So, the human brain is composed of two major types of brain matter, white matter and gray matter. Recently, white matter has been studied much more in depth than it has over the past. In the past, it was basically just linked to pathology and really didn't really have any kind of really well-studied understanding of what it was good for as far as communication between the brain. And so we're now understanding the importance of both the gray and white matter. So what is gray matter and what is white matter? Gray matter makes up about half of the brain. And if you look at a cross section of a brain, like a cut in half part of a brain, you'll see around, well, really the brain is like this, with this being the front. You have the cerebellum back here, frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and the occipital lobe. And so if you cut a brain in half, you will see along the edge mostly this layer of gray matter. And then on the inside, all through this area, you'll see a lot more of the white matter of the brain. And I personally, the other day in my anatomy dissection lab, got to hold a human brain. And it was quite a surreal experience. It was not quite that heavy. It was only like maybe 5 pounds. And it just fit right here in my hands. It was pretty interesting. Pretty powerful to hold one of the powerhouses of the human body. And so, gray matter, this outside layer, is composed mainly of cell bodies for neurons and unmyelinated axons. So, what is this? A neuron is composed of several different parts. A neuron has the dendrites, which receive signals from the synapse of another neuron, or receive signals from stimulus, such as like within the skin with mechanoreceptors and touching or pressure sensors for the sense of touch. So those, then you have the cell body, then you have the axon, which is where the signal is sent through, and then you have the synapse at the end. These are what send the signal to the dendrites of the next neuron. So, gray matter, again, is composed of the cell bodies and unmyelinated axons. Now, what is myelin? Myelin is a fatty protein which covers the axon and sometimes cell bodies, cell bodies and the dendrites. These are called encapsulated nerves. But for the axons, you have different densities of myelination. I've talked about this in an episode long ago when I was talking about the gate control theory and how that this idea actually it works within how we perceive pain over touch. So the myelination on the axons specifically are called Schwann cells. These Schwann cells, as I said, are fatty proteins. And if you look at an axon, say it's like this straight line, you'll have a block like this. You'll have them blocked out. So you'll have these little gaps in between each one. And if you know anything about the conductivity of fat, fat does not conduct electricity. And so the signal that's being sent through a neuron is an electrical signal. It uses different ions in order to create this electrical charge that gets sent down the axon. That is known as an action potential. Typically a cell sits at negative 70 megavolts. And when the action potential reaches, negative 25 megavolts, the action potential increases, spikes, and goes to a positive. I can't remember the exact positive, but it opens up a bunch of sodium channels, ion channels, which then creates this charge that gets sent down the axon terminal. And with unmyelinated axons, it has to go down the entire axon. Whereas with myelination, having these fatty cells that are blocking these chunks of the axon, it allows for conductivity. So it makes the charge jump. So it moves much more quicker down the axon rather than having to wait to go all the way down the whole thing. So this is gray matter. Again, gray matter is composed of cell bodies and unmyelinated axons. White matter, on the other hand, if you think about fatty substances like lard or coconut oil, they're white. And so, white matter is made of myelinated axons. So, what's the importance of this? Well, the loss of gray matter is associated with things like bipolar, psychosis, such as schizophrenia, and Alzheimer's disease, where the loss of white matter is associated with dementia and the inability to coordinate controls and movements. So it's really important that you take care of your brain. You'll see, as I mentioned, myelination is made of fatty substances. So you have to really make sure that you eat healthy fats so that you can take care of your brain. Your brain is really largely made of fat. And so eating these healthy fats are really good for you. Do a little bit of research to find out what a healthy fat is so you can really understand what you need to take in to maintain your brain health. More things like novelty really also help increase white matter. You'll see that elderly individuals will do things like Sudoku or crossword puzzles, and that's wonderful. The only issue with that is once you start to master those things, it's no longer novel, and you're no longer really working your brain. You're just working these synapses that are already in play, these neuronal networks that are already mapped, and so you're going through these over and over. So you need to create novelty. You need to do new experiences, have new things in your life, try things that are difficult for you in order to increase that gray matter. You see, myelination continues well into adulthood just through the maturation of the brain. And you can continue to increase white matter through this through these novel experiences and different. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, but that's a big one right there. Is novel experiences and just maintaining a healthy diet. So there's obviously more than just eating fat that goes into taking care of the brain. Do a little bit of research, find out what you need for your brain, and go for it. You know, each individual is different, so I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you need. Make sure you, as an individual, do the research to find out what you need to be healthy. Your brain is extremely important. Your brain is the powerhouse for what is the word? Integrating messages and understanding messages within the body and in our experience. So take care of your brain, take care of your body. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you guys learned something. Have a beautiful day.